just so glad that you're accessible to everyone, and really good at responding to people. And I think that's something that a lot of authors, especially ones that write words, should do as well. So listen, and of course, absolutely, and of course, always check out his work at the Daily Wire. And Michael, this has been a pleasure, man. It's been so much fun, and I wish you the best of luck. I hope you write a book with words one day, and may that one be as high of a seller as this one. Congratulations, and thanks so much.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is all mine.
Behind Enemy Lines. Joining me on the line right now, it's an honor to welcome to the show a man I've long admired for many years, especially since the release of his video of telling us why he is a Republican. And it resonated with me because at the time when I was living in the People's Republic of New York City, in a time where my party was not doing as much outreach as it should do to minorities, this was a gentleman standing up and being counted, and it's an honor to speak to him. Senator Elbert Guillory, sir, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Gene, it's a real pleasure to be here with you today.
Well, listen, the pleasure is all mine, and like I said, these are not hollow words. I'm just saying to hype up an interview. Your video struck me in a way that others hadn't, and I'm sure this is a story that you've heard many times.
Once or twice, it was interesting. The Lord has a sense of humor. I made a little video to explain to the folks back in Louisiana in my senatorial district why I was making the change. And suddenly, people in New York and Paris started to talk about it. It was interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like I said. Maybe it was a sign that the Republican Party was starting to take notice of, I guess, the forgotten voters. In a lot of ways, urban voters, definitely minority voters in the South. It felt like your video struck a real chord with a lot of people, and I think you saw a lot of politicians started to think that they can make some inroads in types of communities that they haven't reached out to before. And I know that you're looking to spearhead that effort in Louisiana, right?
Yes, that is correct. We've let define us for a long time. They have been the bad guys, and we've been the good guys. I mean, from the moment that we were founded as a party in the 1800s, through the civil rights years of the 50s and 60s, and on to this day, we've always been about a more inclusive America, and they have been the bad guys, and we've let them steal our thunder. It's time for us to steal it back.
Now, did you? Some of what Donald Trump has said is that he won because his message resonated greater with minority voters, black voters, and Latino voters around the country. Have you heard any response or any critique of President Trump in what is the start of your outreach?
There's a lot of criticism of President Trump, but I will say that he got 16% of the black vote in Louisiana. He did extremely well among Hispanics, and they did very, very well among Asians. We expect to expand on that and make Louisiana Republicanism just much more inclusive and louder. We need to make it louder. It's always been inclusive, but it's been quietly inclusive. We're going to make it loudly inclusive.
That sounds great. One of the challenges when I was trying to promote outreach in New York City when I lived there was the challenge of trying to get people to listen to a message that was more about independence and self-reliance than it was on government reliance. Do you feel that that's going to be a significant challenge?
I don't believe so, and I'll tell you why. People are beginning to open their eyes and see that these government policies of the Democrat Party have not worked for us. Not only have they not worked, they've been devastating to minority families, devastating to minority employment, terrible, horrible for education, urban schools, 80-90% of children not reading, writing, and computing on grade level. We have to make some changes. So we're saying to people, open your eyes. If this is working for you, then you don't need to talk to us. But if it's not working, if you're not safe in your homes and on your streets, then let's sit down and talk. And a lot of people are listening to us.
Well, it's good that a lot of people are listening. When it comes to education policy, I know that President Trump, especially with his selection of Betsy DeVos, seems to be making a theme of his administration, greater choice when it comes to selection of schools. Do you believe that message will help you and aid you in your efforts to create a more inclusive party in Louisiana?
It absolutely will. Education is a great place to start because education is probably the greatest failure in all of Democrat policy. We have two generations of young minority people, young Hispanics, young blacks, who simply cannot speak the English language, and it's terrible. They're not prepared for life. They're not prepared to work. So it's a great place to start. Parents know that their children are not being educated, and so we're going to have a lot of parental support. Louisiana, a few years ago, moved toward more school choice with a good voucher program and a good charter school network, and parents of all stripes have been very, very supportive.
That's actually very good to hear. Obviously, parents, they want the best for their children, and one of the best tools that I guess a more Republican message could bring to minority communities is the idea of, like you said before, even economic independence. And, President Trump has made jobs a priority. In rural areas, there has to be a real need for greater job opportunity. Do you feel that that's going to be coming in Louisiana under the way that things are politically there? Is government more of a hindrance right now to development of greater economic opportunity there?
It's going to help. There will be, because of the Trump policies, there will be greater opportunity here. We have a Democrat governor who is a tax and spend, refusing to cut any spending, demanding more and more out of the taxpayers' pockets. A tax and spend Democrat. He will be gone soon, but most of our delegation in Louisiana, all of our senators and five of our six congressmen are Republican, and they are going to insist that Louisiana get its fair share of jobs from the new economic development package of the Trump era.
Right, now
that is going to be a great boon to us.
I certainly would hope so. One of the issues that I know that Democrats in the House and Senate have been talking about is greater investment into infrastructure. And I would think that would have to include a lot of projects in Louisiana, especially because the state is, let's admit, still reeling from, natural disasters like Katrina. Do you feel that there's going to be that reach across the aisle that will hopefully, like you said, get Louisiana its fair share? Or do you think that Democrats are going to be more of a roadblock in what we're saying is your quest for a greater Louisiana?
They have to get on board, or we're going to just run over them. It's just that simple.
I like your style, sir.
A great crisis.
I like your style on that. Absolutely. And that's kind of what the Democrats did for the first 2 years under President Obama, just ran over.
Exactly right. Well, this is politics. It's not a game of tiddlywinks, and it's going to be hard-knuckle politics. And here in Louisiana, we have a history of it, so we're accustomed to it. This governor who is here has already had to modify some of his more ridiculous anti-values positions, but he will be gone shortly, and any of his cohorts and fellow travelers will be rolled over. Now,
one last question, then I have to let you go. It's such a pleasure to be able to talk to you this way and to actually go through some real policy points. Last question from me would be, I don't know if you have already or if you plan to at any point have any time with President Trump. If you were to have that moment to sit down with him and discuss what is the most important thing that is needed for the people in Louisiana that he must act on right now, what would that be?
K through 12 education. Education is the stairway out of poverty. It's what took my family in 2 generations from slavery. My granddaddy was born in slavery. In 2 generations, my grandfather's children, one of his children taught law at Rutgers, I did, and one of his children taught medicine at Baylor. My sister does. So education has been our way out, and it is the way out for all minority people, and for every American, really. It's the way up the ladder. So I would ask President Trump to consider K through 12 education. Do not let these teachers' unions block choice for families. We do need a good, solid public school system, but the one that we have is simply not working now, and we've got to change it. I heard a Louisiana congressman say the other day, I want to ask a question, and that is, if a United States congressman has to ask a question instead of asking a question, that shows how terrible our situation is here in Louisiana. We've got to educate our children.
I couldn't agree more. I think, as they say, as goes Louisiana, so goes the nation, I would say, especially when it comes to the issue that you're talking about. Education is a nationwide issue, and I'm glad that you're advocating for it. I'm also glad to say that you're working with minority outreach for the Louisiana GOP, looking towards future elections. Folks, check out my new friend, of course, Elbert Guillory's America.com. It's his brand new political action committee. We're going to put it on the website so you don't have to misspell it. And, sir, of course, your Facebook, Elbert Lee Guillory, your YouTube channel. Is there anything else that we need to tell people about how to get involved with you and how to get started? LouisianaGOP.com, LAGOP, ElberGuillory.com. Please join us. Please support us. Please send us your ideas. We are in the middle of a serious war, and we need all the allies that we can. And a little financial support would help as well.
That's what about.
And a little financial support helps as well. Absolutely. Support them financially if you can as well. And that's LAGOP as in Louisiana, not in Los Angeles. I don't even know if there's a GOP there. Senator Guillory, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's a pleasure. Like I said, a real honor for me to have you on, and looking forward to continuing the conversation with you sometime.
Thank you so very much for having me, and please keep doing what you're doing.
Hey folks, I just want to let you know about a great opportunity for listeners of Behind Enemy Lines Radio. If you go to our website, www.behindenemylines.radio.us, and click on the Sane Box ad on the right side of the page, you will get a great opportunity for a discounted offer to join SaneBox. SaneBox filters out all the unimportant email from your inbox so that you can really focus on what matters. If you're anything like me, folks, you get hundreds of pieces of email a day, not many of which is important. SaneBox's smart filter will get everything you need to fly through your inbox and finally make email work for you. It gets rid of spam emails, it deprioritizes emails that aren't as important to you, and it helps you unsubscribe from mailing lists and individual senders with ease. So again, go to www.behindenemylinesradio.us and you click on the SaneBox ad and you'll be given an exclusive offer you won't find anywhere else. The show will be right back. But first, a word from Al Sharpton.
Good evening, Rev. Thanks Good evening, to Rev. You, Ed. Is this Groundhog Day 2? We are watching that was Attorney General Eric Holder, ABDs, about some Republicans at home are already beating the drums of war. Today, the Pentagon refuted that claim. And he said the American people do not want him to, quote, dwiddling, they do not want him dwiddling his thumbs. You can get a gig as a contortionist. Intravenous fluids and pills coated with gelatin. We don't leave our women or men in uniform behind. It's a monument to the hubris of Dick Cheney, Representative Raul Labrador. Years of abuse. I personally apologize to Mr. Peebles. Just ask to soon-to-be former congressman. Democrats are outright jitty. CIA's counterterrorism Counterterrorism Center, veteran